out any of the dirt and the rain?
Great. Well, guess what, guys? Welcome to another episode of Unusual Suspects. Sorry, guys. We're talking about not only Hurricane Milton, that's a Cat 5/6 that's coming to decimate Florida and Tampa. We just had 2 tornadoes pop up that are just in the neighborhood. Just when you think it couldn't get worse, it actually gets worse. But guess what? The show must go on. But if during this podcast everything just flies away, just know that, we're ready. Dave said he has you have an American life jacket?
I loaded up on life jackets. I've got an American flag life jackets, and I just texted my wife and I said, if you see a tornado, go to an underpass and get up as close to where the underpass meets the road.
But have your GoPro because we want the footage.
GoPros are charged and the drone is charged and we got a kite, so we're good.
Well, all this weather is concerning, but we don't want to harp on that subject for too long.
HAARP.
Hey, come on. No state tax, still worth it.
No, by the way, I've said this multiple times because my mom's calling concerned, my friends are calling concerned. I go, you have 2 options, okay? You rather live in California and deal with earthquakes, assholes, and Gavin Newsom, or Florida, hurricanes, and freedom. Which one do you pick?
Hurricanes and freedom.
Hurricanes and freedom. Every single time, bro. Bring it on.
I was literally having this discussion with my wife this morning and others throughout the week. Like, I bet you miss Montreal. And I was like, I'll take hurricanes over communism every day of the week. I'll take a community that gets together and rallies and helps each other over the one that snitches out their neighbors for playing in the park with their kids during COVID.
Yeah.
I feel better and safer here despite the weather.
Oh, it's no brainer, bro. I mean, even though our government sucks, you know what? You made a great point. At least we rally to come together. I think there's in North Carolina, because the government's not doing anything, they have a group of ex-military Green Berets called, Rob, if you look at this up, I think it's called white trash, what the hell are they called? Redneck something. They're in North Carolina, bro. These guys have 3,500.
Redneck Air Force.
Green Beret, retired Alex Smith, and a bunch of guys, bro. They're doing rescue missions. They're doing everything because the government's not helping because they have no money.
They missed a very, very good alliteration, redneck rescue, but darn it, redneck Air Force is good enough.
But they're rednecks, so you know how it is. But anyway, guys, we have a great show lined up for you guys today. Thank you for joining us. Rob, we're going to go down the stories. Rob's going to be talking about Elon Musk and Tucker's interview and some crazy stuff that was said on that podcast. I'm going to be talking about Kamala's husband. He's a freak. He's a real peach. Doug Emhoff, we're going to talk about him.
He slaps.
Oh, it's going to be a good one. No pun intended, but a lot of pun intended. Connor's going to be talking about Amber Thurman and her death.
Yeah, we're fact-checking one of the biggest claims that the Democrats are making right now, and go figure, completely false.
Weird. Isn't that weird? Humberto's going to be talking about Waffle House.
Oh, you guys don't even know.
I don't even, and I love, you know what I love about this show? I don't even know what the hell the story is about. I kind of know what Connor's is, but it's almost as if I'm watching a podcast myself live, and I appreciate you guys for it. And then Viva, we didn't get to it last week. He's going to be talking about Tina Peters, who was just sentenced to 9 years for, let me actually do the election interference, which is, I think, when you reveal and you expose people for
what it is, and we'll get to it, is it's a sign to everyone who is going to doubt or question the 2024 election, shut up or you'll go to jail for the rest of your life.
Yeah, just like January 6th. So don't ever come and protest ever again, or else you'll be sent to prison for 20 years. And then stick around, guys. We have some cool stuff after. Guys, that's the Angry Patriot shirt. We have a QR code. Where is it? Right there, guys. I have yet to see a person walking around with this shirt. I want to see people, guys, especially with everything that's happening in the country. If you're not pissed off, if you're in America right now and you're seeing what has happened, this is just the biggest travesty, I think, with all the hundreds of billions of dollars we've given away to other countries. And people keep asking me, Vinny, why are you so angry? Okay? How are you not? Okay? Rock this shirt and let people know, because I wear this shirt in the gym and I'm on the treadmill and people are like, yeah, dude, me too, and I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. So I recognize that I realize that I'm wearing the shirt. But that's the link, that's the QR code, guys. And if you haven't subscribed, please, guys, we're about to hit 66,000.
70,000.
70,000. If you haven't
It's
subscribed,
free. Do it.
It's free.
Just do it.
Do it for me, please.
You can undo it if you want to.
Yeah,
afterwards. I don't know.
I'm subscribed.
I'm
subscribed to our own
Whatever
channel.
you want. It's a free
Sometimes I
country.
unsubscribe just to subscribe again, just to feel
The show's just that good.
Yeah, it's that good. All right, guys, we're gonna get right into it with the first story. So I saw when I get ready to come to do the PBD podcast, I watch the Tucker interviews, and I watch I was listening to it like on fast speed. I had to slow it down just to be like, are they really saying what they're saying? And Rob, you have the scoop on something that they said that was pretty. It stuck out.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because Reed Hoffman was mentioned by Elon Musk during the interview with Tucker Carlson, where he here, we'll just play the clip for you.
And who? Bob,
This is what day was this? Sunday, Monday that the interview happened. Here's the clip from Tucker Carlson with Elon.
and real quick before we play it, who is Reed Hoffman?
Reed Hoffman is the founder of LinkedIn, and we'll get into that.
Okay.
But he's the founder of LinkedIn. He and Elon Musk have known each other for a long time. They've been business.
PayPal.
They've done business dealings together. They both worked in Silicon Valley. But here's Elon Musk calling out Reed Hoffman and Bill Gates and their financial contributions and support for the Kamala Harris campaign in order to distract from the release or to prevent the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files.
God.
Will that ever come out, do you think? You know, I think part of why Kamala's getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Wow.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reed Hoffman's uncomfortable?
Yes.
Wow. No hesitation.
No
And
hesitation.
Gates.
And Gates.
Yeah.
Gates.
And I only ask that because you just look at them and you're like, that's a nervous person right there. I don't know. I mean, I assume you know them. Yeah.
Yes. Reed Hoffman was my vice president of business development at PayPal.
Yeah.
4 years
I
ago.
know him.
24 years ago. Well, he knows who he is.
Does he seem nervous to you?
Yeah, I mean, he's terrified of a Trump victory.
Terrifying. Bro,
Because
think
of the
about
disclosure that would follow?
I think, yeah, I mean, I think he's certainly ideologically not aligned with Trump anyway, but I think he is concerned about the Epstein situation.
And I believe that the Epstein situation is the reason why Reed Hoffman has to date donated more than $60 million in political campaign donations, thanks to Open Secrets. I actually went back yesterday and started tracking all of Reed Hoffman's political donations, starting from 2001 all the way until today. And what we will show you coming up is that he's not scared of Donald Trump. He donated $56 million of the $60 million that he's donated over the past 24 years. In the past 7-8 years, after Trump had already been elected in 2016.
Wow.
So, a few things. Let's go through who Reed Hoffman is. Reed Hoffman is the co-founder and executive chairman of LinkedIn. He has been an influential figure in political circles for a long time. He's a member of the Bilderberg Group since at least 2011, and he sat on the Council on Foreign Relations since 2015. Connor, could you enlighten us on what either one of those organizations are?
I don't know too much about the CFR, and I know Brandon is
Bilderberg.
big on the Bilderberg.
By the way, and I want you to do the Bilderberg, but the CFR, Council of Foreign Relations, it's a non-elected group of like Obama and all these big.
Yeah,
they come up and they talk about global policy. By the way, on how the world is going to be run. None of us elect them. This is like that secret society crap. I mean, it's not secret, but they get together and they figure out how the world is going to be formed. So
exactly, that's what I was going to say. Both of these organizations are essentially the as deep state as it gets.
Yes.
Like Vinny said, the CFR is a bunch of non-elected government or like non-government people who have not been voted for by anybody, but apparently get to shape our policy decisions and guide our government officials on the decisions that they make. And it's ridiculous, but when you see that people like Reed Hoffman are included on that list, it shows how high the rot goes and how powerful they are. Reed Hoffman's worth what? What's his net worth?
Well, Reed Hoffman sold, when LinkedIn was sold to Microsoft in June of 2016, Microsoft acquired LinkedIn for $26.2 billion. As the co-founder and majority shareholder of LinkedIn, Hoffman's net worth surged to more than $2.84 billion based on the $196 per share price that Microsoft offered.
Yeah, so one of the wealthiest people in the the world is involved in these shadowy organizations.
I got to read it because it's amazing when Wikipedia has to describe it this way. You know that people are onto something, and this was described as a conspiracy theory. Like if you believed it, the Bilderberg meeting, Bilderberg Group, yada yada yada, is an annual off-the-record forum established in 1954 to foster dialogue between Europe and North America. Originally to prevent another war, it's now defined as bolstering a consensus around free market Western capitalism and its interests around the globe. That sounds like a shadowy cabal that meets annually to decide what happens to the world despite being unelected officials.
And one of the guys worth $2.84 billion that's part of that group went to Epstein's Island and has hosted a dinner with Epstein, and we'll get to that in just a minute.
And can I make a weird prediction? Yeah. Like, this is baseless, but he looks like the type of guy that is this close of trancing himself.
Dude, wait, hold on.
Right?
But by the way, when you want to talk about
I think he already has. Look, he's got pretty big breasts.
Like, yo,
can we show that photo, Jeremy?
Show this photo? Yeah, look, guys.
Excuse me.
Fit the profile. Like, when I see somebody like that, in my brain already starts to go like, oh, that guy definitely would do something.
Yeah, there's a weird look that these suspected, alleged pedophiles
am I being
all
weird,
seem to have.
Viva? Am I being weird? He looks like this close
It's
of
a Reed Hoff woman.
I try not to judge a book by its cover, but when you look at the photo on the far left, and if you look at his LinkedIn picture from way back, that strikes me as being the type of person who might not have been the cool kid in high school who gets to a point in life where they're going to parties, doing all sorts of wild things that they were excluded from in high school. And then, lo and behold, they wake up with that email in the morning that says, by the way, that hot chick that you were with last night, 15, now we own you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't put it past them.
Which, if you look at the evidence, it may lead to that of happening to Reed Hoffman. So, allegedly, of course.
Rob,
and again, these are
all
the opinions
allegedly.
of me, Rob Gargiulo, and not those expressed by Valuetainment or the Unusual
Well,
Suspects,
to lend
blah,
credibility
blah,
to
blah,
what you're saying, Rob, a while back we had Ian Carroll on the show. And
Follow the
what did
money.
you say? Follow the money.
Follow the money.
You followed the money.
I did. And
I'm
what the
excited
money
about this.
shows is that this isn't about, Trump isn't a danger to democracy in Reed Hoffman's eyes. If that was the case, Reed Hoffman became a billionaire on June 13th of 2016. Then explain why going into the 2020 election cycle, or 2016 election cycle, he only made $244,556 worth of donations. Not a big chunk of, like, if you were that worried that Donald Trump was a danger and a threat to democracy, and you're worth $1 billion, and you spend $60 million in political donations, don't you think you would have spent that money sooner than when all of the Epstein information comes out?
Oh, of course.
But he didn't. Yeah. He starts spending that money once the Epstein information comes out. If we can go to this graph, we're going to kind of go through some of these donations. So listen, if you want to go and do the math yourself, you can go to Open Secrets. Open Secrets doesn't have the totals for every I could not find totals for Hoffman's donations between 2001 and 2016. I had to manually compute them. So this is my own research. But then Open Secrets does have the 2018 midterms, the 2020 presidential election, the 2022 midterms, and then the 2024 presidential election donations. They have totals for that I can prove. But you have to take my word on this that I went and I calculated it with ChatGPT. It wasn't me sitting there with a calculator pressing it and Deli's adding it up with a calculator. No, this is like actual AI helping me calculate these totals. So between 2001 and March 18th of 2015, and there's a specific reason why I marked that date, Reed Hoffman makes 108 donations. This is before he's a billionaire, totaling $3,019,330. This is all before Donald Trump actually announces that he has intentions of running for president. March 18, 2015, Trump forms an exploratory committee in preparation for a possible run for president on the Republican Party ticket. In between that time and the time that Trump actually announces his presidency is when Reed Hoffman starts making some political donations. June 16th of 2015, Trump officially declares his presidency for the presidential nomination for the Republican Party. Again, Reed Hoffman has spent to date $3,019,330. Then in March of 2016, something interesting happens. Virginia Giuffre, do you know who she is?
Can I?
The one Epstein victim.
Yes.
The one, is it Prince Andrew's? The girl
The one that is photographed with Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell, where he has his arm around her. He claims it was photoshopped.
Yeah.
And then he also did this weird interview where he denied meeting her because he had a condition in which he could not sweat.
Oh,
he was at a children's pizza party on the day he was allegedly having sex with an underage girl.
Can you imagine the best
Always a pizza
alibi.
parlor with
The best alibi. I was eating cheese pizza on the day I was alleged to have relations with an underage woman. Oh yes, and I remember it well because I couldn't sweat because of trauma that I experienced. Where was it? Not in the Balkans.
During
the Falkland
Islands.
It was, and by all medical accounts, the most insanely preposterous scientific explanation for why the allegations were false. And then he never did another interview again.
And they removed him from official royal responsibilities right after.
That's how
that.
I was just. That was.
They
his,
kicked him out of the house. He was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're
Yeah,
getting
the
evicted, buddy."
queen, when she was still alive, was like, you can never do royal speaking engagements. That's your penalty for allegedly sleeping with an underage girl.
And this coming
Way
from
to
a
go,
woman.
England.
This coming from a woman who probably killed Princess Diana, but
I mean,
that's
well,
a whole.
that's a whole nother story.
That's allegedly, and that is the viewpoint of Connor
Yes.
Walcott, not valuetainment
Not
or unusual suspects. I like to say that because I don't want anybody to get in trouble for what we're doing here today. So, listen, these numbers, it took me going and totaling all of these sums. And what we're seeing here is that Reed Hoffman's actual interest in politics and donating, again, for 13 years, he only spent 14 years, 15 years, he only spent $3 million. And then in the past 8 years, even before or after the 2016 election, after that specifically, he spends another $56 million. And there's a reason why. So Virginia Giuffre, Jeffrey Epstein's accuser, ends up getting she has a defamation lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell. Epstein is called to testify in that defamation lawsuit. He continues to plead the fifth. The news reports focus on Virginia Giuffre's allegations of abuse and sex trafficking, and the media starts reporting on it. Now, Reed Hoffman's a billionaire at this time, but he's not actually included in this, despite a 2014 trip to Epstein's Island. The Wall Street Journal reports, this is later on, but in 2014, the Wall Street Journal reports that Reed Hoffman, the co-founder of LinkedIn, visited Epstein's private island, Little St. James, in 2014. Hoffman later admits to the visit in a statement saying that he traveled there with the former director of the MIT Media Lab as part of fundraising efforts for MIT. Part of the scrutiny that Jeffrey Epstein came under and Reed Hoffman has come under is that Jeffrey Epstein was making these donations to the MIT Media Lab that Reed Hoffman oversaw, or Reed Hoffman had a relationship with because he had been one of their largest donors over time. So there were ties to the two of them, and now Hoffman says that, well, my relationship with Epstein had nothing to do with the MIT Media Lab, despite traveling to Little St. James Island with the former director of the MIT Media Lab and then getting donations for the MIT Media Lab.
Yeah,
even there, he's caught lying. Then he hosts a dinner in 2015. Elon Musk even attends it. But Reed Hoffman hosts a dinner where he invites Epstein to a dinner attended by various Silicon Valley figures, including Elon Musk and others from the tech industry. So there's at least 2 times that we know of that Reed Hoffman has hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. One of those times was on Little St. James Island. And then all of a sudden, after Trump gets elected, going into the 2016 election cycle, in total, Reed Hoffman, now worth $2.84 billion, only donates $962,641 in donations to anti-Republican, a majority of that, 90% of those donations were to Democrats and anti-Republican PACs. 10% of those sometimes were filtered to Republicans. But the dude spent $962,000 into the 2016 election. If you were that worried about Donald Trump being a threat to democracy at that point, wouldn't you have spent more than less than $1 million in campaign contributions and political donations?
100, dude, 1,000%, Robin. Just the fact, and I appreciate the hell out of you for doing all this, finding the numbers, going to do all the research. And it's funny, something triggered in my head, Rob, when you talked about Silicon Valley, because all these guys are Silicon Valley, right? Elon and him, and Vanity Fair did an article in 2023 called, "Oh my gosh, this is so effed up. Inside Silicon Valley's secretive, orgastic, dark side, where these people are just disgusting, rich, perverted people, bro." And it's like, and we talked about it before the show. This place, I don't care what anybody says. Oh, I went to this island to do what? Snorkel? You love the scenery?
To fundraise for MIT Media Lab?
Yeah.
But then you later deny that you were there getting or had anything to do with the contribution.
Well, Vinny, think about
Rob, good
think
point.
about Sam Bankman-Fried and his odd hobgoblin of a girlfriend with their polycule down in the Bahamas.
Easy. I look similar. Go ahead.
No, you don't
I've said what I said. Like their whole thing, like after they stole a bunch of money with their crypto platform, they're down in the Bahamas with their polycule doing weird sexual stuff and snorkeling all day.
Yeah.
It's a weird correlation between the Silicon Valley people and the people implicated in this stuff, like Rob is saying.
And what you can see here is that as the news of Jeffrey Epstein continues to start coming out, right? 2017. So far in total, right, between the 962,641 that Reed Hoffman spent in the 2016 presidential election, and then the $3 million he spent in the 14 years prior, we're at $4 million in donations. This is going into the 2018 midterms. Between 2018 and today, he spends another $56 million in political donations. And if you actually track the timeline, what you see is that these political donations, here, can we show that timeline again? They start to increase the more that Epstein information comes out. 2017, Donald Trump's inauguration, his relationship with Epstein becomes public. Trump denies the relationship. However, this coverage starts coinciding with increasing focus on Epstein's ties to high-profile individuals. The turning point in the media comes in November of 2018. The Miami Herald writes that report. It was called Perversion of Justice, where they talk about Epstein's sweetheart deal. December of 2018, the rest of the mainstream media starts reporting on Epstein's sweetheart deal for the 2008 plea deal that he got for the 2006 arrest and allegations of sex trafficking minors. And this is where you start to see Reed Hoffman's money and his contributions skyrocket. Remember, in total, for 14 years, 15 years, 16 years, he spent a total of $4 million. 2018 midterms, he now spends $7,993,000, almost doubles the amount. Okay, July 6th of 2019, after those donations are made, going into the 2020 election, Epstein is arrested on July 6th of 2019. All of the big mainstream media starts reporting on Epstein's ties to powerful people, including Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, and Reed Hoffman. Then we can just take a look at
Hold up. Is there a precipitous drop-off maybe on August 10th, 2019?
Of where
Bada
he's,
bing, bada boom.
after he dies? No, they increase.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh at the fact that we are led to believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in jail.
Yeah, his brother
That's
doesn't
his date
believe
of
it.
death. So whether or not there's okay, we got
And
that.
his brother showed us photos.
Yeah, we're sitting right here next to his brother, and he doesn't believe it for a second.
But I also think his brother was a Fed. Right? And you thought his brother was a Fed, too.
Fed.
And his brother admitted to being on the plane with Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein. And his brother also claimed that he had information that would have, on both Clinton and Trump, that would have disrupted the 2016 election. But then here we are in 2024. It's been 8 years, and he's never released
He's full of crap. He's a
I'm
fed.
fairly certain, though, that I listened to Bongino a lot, but he talks about how Secret Service agents were, he knows people who don't want to come forward, who were on a plane with Clinton at one point, and they said they saw things they withdrew,
Oh, but I mean,
never wanted to go
Well, you know
back.
why? Because I think it has to be true because you can't go even if you're going to this island to do whatever you're going to do 52 times or however many.
Spearfishing.
You have to spearfishing. You have to have Secret Service with you. They have to be. They can't stop their detail. They're on you all the time. At least, dude, 4 or 5 guys have to be with you. When we saw Bill Clinton at the bowling alley in New York randomly with Pat, randomly we were talking. Guys, we said his name, and he walked in. I couldn't believe it in Manhattan. And he walked in, and I go, Pat, Bill Clinton just walked in. He's like, what? There was 5 Secret Service guys with him, so he had to have people with him.
But as far as it goes, I know the rumors are that he traveled to Epstein's Island without Secret Service detail. Is that confirmed?
I
or
don't
is that
The only
unconfirmed?
flight logs that I've ever seen that have built now, not all of the flight logs have been released. That's what when Musk is referring to the Epstein files, this is what he's talking about: the redacted information that hasn't been released, like the little black book that has been. There's been names that have been blacked out. They've released the actual portions of the black book, but with the names redacted and crossed out. So that, there's flight logs. The only flight logs that I've seen have been humanitarian aid trips that they call it overseas, not to or Epstein's Island, but with Chris Tucker. It's a weird
Combo.
It is. It was Chris Tucker, Bill Clinton, Epstein. I don't know if Ghislaine Maxwell, but they were all in like South Africa and over there. I don't know if he ever went to the island, but there's certainly photographs of him with underage girls giving him back massages, him with Epstein coming to the White House. Mark Epstein said he went to the White House with Bill Clinton with his brother. A couple times. What I want to show you real quick is the open secrets information. If we could go to the remaining political donations, we can run through this real quick and then I'll be done and we can move on. But what I want to show you guys is that if Donald Trump was really a threat to democracy, then why did Reed Hoffman only spend $1 million trying to block him from becoming president in 2016? Because after Trump becomes elected and the Epstein information becomes public and Reed Hoffman's association with Epstein becomes public, his donations skyrocket. 2018 midterms, he spends $7,993,000. 2020 election, he spends $11,540,712 in donations. The 2022 midterms, he spends $9,605,000. And the 2024 election, to date, today, for this single election cycle, from January 1st to 2023 until the end of this year, because they're calculating all the way through the end of the year, but the to-date total is $27,162,600. That is an that's 3 times the amount of money that you spent advertising or donating to political campaigns in the 2022 midterms. It's more than double what you spent in the 2020 election when Trump went against Biden the first time, and it's 27 times more than what he donated when Donald Trump ran against Hillary Clinton in the 2016 presidential election. So how much does it cost Reed Hoffman to keep a secret? And what is that secret? To date, he has spent $56,301,312 in political donations that I can keep track of to keep his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein hidden from the public. And in total, with the $4 million he donated before all of this started becoming public, it's $60,301,818.
All that illustrates is inflation under the Biden regime. That's the only reason why it went up that much. Jokes aside, and that was a good one. When Elon answers that question, it's not the type of thing you say unless you don't have specific information. It's not like he's not hypothesizing. These people have been living within a certain realm, and I'm not accusing Elon of anything. They know the secrets. It's like when we were practicing law, you knew who was sleeping with who at the law firm, and everybody knew. But it's a secret that everybody keeps. Elon's answer did not demonstrate insecurity or guessing. He knows. And everybody knows it's the best kept secret, like Harvey Weinstein, and may that secret come to light as an October surprise.
You practice law. If I got on here and I said Reed Hoffman, and I'm quoting Elon, but what Elon said, Reed Hoffman doesn't want Trump to be elected because he doesn't want the Epstein files to be released because it could be incriminating to him. Is that enough for you as Reed Hoffman to take some sort of legal action? It may not work in court, but would that be enough for you to go, well, that guy alleged that I'm a pedophile, and that's slander, and I could sue you for all of what you're worth with Twitter?
I mean, I would say no ordinarily because it's quite clearly a matter of opinion, or at least, it's indicating his belief in his opinion. It's not an accusation that he is a potato-phile. That being said, the system is so weaponized anyhow. Take your chances. Sue Elon Musk. Sue him in D.C., and you'll find it.
If somebody alleged you of doing that, wouldn't you at least... knowing that he is the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, and he's alleging that you're a pedophile, wouldn't you at least look into some type of legal recourse?
Something, especially if I'm innocent.
Would you at least speak out about it? What has Reed Hoffman said? Nothing. Yeah. This clip came out on Sunday. It's now Wednesday, and he's made nothing about this.
Nothing. Maybe Viva can give additional information here, but if he filed some sort of defamation lawsuit in that, wouldn't proof to the claim have to then become like part of prosecutorial
discovery is what what the question is getting at. Like when someone sues, it's not a one-way street, and they go sue. It's like, all right, well, I mean, there'll be discovery. There'll be, how do you know these things? It's interesting you say, like, especially if you're innocent. It's pretty much, on the one hand, if you're clearly innocent, someone accuses someone, like, no one will believe that they were involved in Epstein type behavior. You feel the need probably not to sue. If you're guilty, you say, like, holy crap, if I sue, there will be discovery. Yeah. There will be accessing emails, DMs, and do I want that?
Speaking of lawsuits, Rob and I were looking at a report we wrote on VT.com about like 6-7 months ago. Reed Hoffman gave a ton of money to the attorney who represented E. Jean Carroll in her defamation suit against Donald Trump. On top of that, he also contributed a ton of money to the primary challengers to Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush because he was so incensed about their stance on the Israel-Palestine issue that he helped AIPAC give a ton of money to their challengers to try to unseat them. Cori Bush successfully, Rashida Tlaib not so much. But he's weaponizing his money to a great degree against a bunch of other people, not just Trump. Now, the Cori Bush, Rashida Tlaib campaigns, obviously, for different reasons.
I think it has nothing to do
Yeah,
with Trump.
but
I think
why-
his money
why-
has nothing
exactly.
to do with Trump. It has everything to do with keeping that
Yeah,
secret.
but
'Cause
why
otherwise-
back E. Jean Carroll? Like, that's just another way to get rid of
That's a good
Trump.
point. To remove him from being able to run
Exactly.
for office.
Oh, of
That's a
course.
second-term issue.
Yeah.
Like, that was not a problem in 2016.
Dude, I wish I was a fly in the wall of when whoever, or if he saw it live, when Reed Hoffman saw that and was like, oh my God. Because, if you think about it, you made a great point. He's known him for 24 years. The fact that he didn't hesitate when he said, this is the Jeffrey Epstein's list. They're worried about Trump because, it's redemption time. It's retribution time. The fact that he answered that fast, meaning like, for instance, if Humberto cheated on his wife, if that's that was his shtick, every single one of us would know. Everybody in the back room would know. Kelly would know. Jake would know. The rumors. Pat would know. Okay? That would be the thing because the rumors, I don't care what people say about secrecy. People talk. All right? And when people talk, that rumor goes out. That means, to me, if I read that the way I read it, he knows. Elon knows exactly what type of person Reed Hoffman is. And for him to say it like that, makes me even want Trump to win even more, which I don't even think is humanly possible.
When Ricky Gervais made the jokes about Harvey Weinstein, do you think he didn't know? Like, was he just guessing and he just got lucky?
No,
they all know.
It's so funny that you bring that up. Howard Stern, who is now being lauded, and somebody that I listened to growing up, not for the pervert parts of it. People were like, "Oh, Howard Stern's a sexist and misogynist." That was part of the show, but a large part of the show was comedy.
Yeah.
3/4 of that show was comedy.
Yes.
And that's what attracted me to it. That guy did an interview with Harvey Weinstein and that before Me Too, where they joked about the casting couch. And Harvey Weinstein's like, well, I can't tell these tales.
Yeah, of
and Howard was like, well, I've heard them. There's that clip on the internet. That's the same guy that's now being lauded by the left for interviewing Joe Biden, who was senile shit, and then Kamala Harris, who gave nothing but word salad answers yesterday.
Oh, and I'll let you finish with it. Oh, and the blackface video of him saying the N-word.
Dude, there is a compliment.
Yeah.
Listen, believe me, you go back, there's on YouTube, there's like, you can just listen to full shows that they've uploaded from the 90s. Oftentimes, when I'm doing yard work, I'm preparing for Hurricane Milton that's coming. I was filling 75 sandbags the past weekend. I'll download and listen to old shows, and it's N-word, the R-word for retarded. Okay, well.
You just did it.
The
All
R-word
right.
for mentally disabled people, the F-word for gay people. Like, it was like, I get everybody grows and changes, but you can't look back and be like, well, he was terrible in this back, but he's amazing now.
Yeah.
I put out a tweet, and I didn't mean it to sound like a statement, but rather a wish. October surprise, I've said it before, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be a white pill October surprise. Which one's my camera? That one?
Yeah.
Somebody's got the video. Somebody's got the list. And if that were to be released as an October surprise, it would rattle the world. And the one thing you can be sure of is that Trump is not on that list. Because if he were, it would have been released 50 times over.
Or Diddy's list. So which one? Okay, let me ask you guys.
Both.
I know we're going to move on. You guys, what do you think would be a bigger impact on the election, Diddy's list or Epstein's list coming out at this point?
Epstein.
Epstein?
I think Diddy's is
on the
more-
election.
On the election, I think Diddy's is more music moguls, maybe Obama. I mean, who knows? I'm just throwing it out there.
So maybe here or there, but nobody that's actively involved in politics.
I don't think.
We saw the polls after Taylor Swift announced endorsement for Kamala Harris. We saw the polls. It didn't even move like 0.5% of the vote. So celebrities, they don't really have an influence, like not a big influence. So these powerful guys, a lot of politic guys, a lot of business
I just want to
guys.
see. I want to see the Venn diagram between the Diddy list and the Epstein list, and I bet you every member of government is right in the middle. As the
Stephen
overlap.
Hawking
Harris would
right
love
in
to
the
see the
middle.
Venn diagram too.
Yeah. All right.
But not for the reason you think.
Well, great story, Robin. Speaking of, people with naughty behavior. Kamala Harris's husband. Speaking of her, also known as Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff. Such a horrible.
Second gentleman, Dirty Doug. That's
Dirty
his name,
Doug.
Dirty Doug.
Dirty Doug. The left calls him a wife guy and a feminist ally. And Rob, you make a great point.
Wife
How
guy?
now they're like, oh, these people. And turns out he's anything but a gentleman. All right. According to a Daily Mail report, Emhoff is facing some serious accusations from his time running the Los Angeles office of a prestige law firm, Venable, from 2006 to 2017. He's being called out for being overly flirty with the women, retaliating against those who didn't return his advances, and even hiring a model as a trophy secretary. Staffers said Emhoff would single out pretty young women and take them out in limos. Multiple sources claim that he refused to promote women who didn't flirt with him, yelled at female staff, and then bragged about it to his buddies. What a peach, bro. This guy is so sweet. The law firm Venable even got hit with a sex discrimination lawsuit from a former secretary, Marjan Rabbi, R-A-B-B-I, who said Emhoff hired an unqualified young woman named Katya just because she was attractive. And his personal life, guys, you know that saying when the hits just keep on coming? The Daily Mail also revealed that Emhoff's first marriage broke up because he had an affair with the family nanny who he allegedly impregnated. Come on, Doug!
Isn't that called hush money?
Oh, I think it's
weird.
Wait,
Can you imagine? The moral degeneracy is astonishing, and I'm not protesting too hard or virtuous. I'm a germaphobe. It makes me sick. The idea that you go, dip your schmeckle in anywhere that's just accessible, but the nanny, and then you get the nanny pregnant, and then Jen Psaki comes out and touts this guy as the role model of masculinity. These people are disgusting degenerates who can't keep their junk in their pants.
They also tried to make him a sex symbol. I don't know if you caught that in the media.
Oh yeah, as much as
like
Seth Rogen,
3,
that guy's
4
a
months
sex
ago.
symbol.
Oh, by the way, and allegedly there's rumors that he bragged that she got either miscarriage or she got an abortion. I don't know what the thing is, but he bragged that he probably had a say in it because of all the stress and all the stuff that he put her through. So, and let's not forget, guys, he has assault allegations from 2012 at the Cannes Film Festival. 3 friends came forward of the girl that was hit, saying that Emhoff hit his girlfriend so hard she spun around, and you know why? Because he didn't like how she spoke to the valet. Okay, guys, if this was Trump or somebody that, by the way, anybody in the Republican Party, they would be crucified at this point. This isn't one isolated incident. This guy has a track record, okay? And what pisses me off the most about this scumbag is that he's getting praised from the left, we know how they roll, as the feminist ally while acting like he's a complete hypocrite, bro. Despite all this, and by the way, you nailed it. The left is parading him around as a model of masculinity. He was on I call her the ginger swindler, Jen Psaki show. She's such a lying, disgusting human being, where she praised him for reshaping the perception of masculinity. Kelly, can you please play this video of the ginger swindler, the old press secretary? Look at how cringe this is.
Can we make retching noises while this plays?
Yeah. Go ahead.
An interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny. I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this. And to me, it's the
I fit the profile.
First of all,
literally,
she's one-on-one with Doug Emhoff on Inside with Jen Psaki.
She looks.
It's all so gross.
An aneurysm. You're like, oh.
I've always been like this. I'm a role model for masculinity. Set aside the allegations of assault because it's a decade old. It's anonymous, and you have to treat that the same way you would treat accusations of assault for Trump.
But hold on,
he's basically admitted to the affair, and so that in and of itself, a lot of people have affairs. It's an indication something's wrong in the marriage, but you don't tout someone up as a moral or masculine role model after that. They're done and move aside and pick someone else who's
better. But I don't know about you. I don't know about you guys, and I've adopted this mindset because of the Democrats. I don't know about you guys, but I believe all women. I don't know if you guys time out. Every single thing, because remember, during Brett Kavanaugh's believe all women. I adopted that philosophy. I believe all women, so I believe the girl that he abused. I believe everything. Because I was told to believe all women. And that guy, bro, let me explain something to you guys. Besides the facts and the court of law, which, okay, they're all in their back pockets. I don't give a damn. Bro, you know, what is your gut? Remember that? Remember your gut? When you saw somebody, you're like, I don't trust that dude. I don't trust that guy. I don't trust Reed Hoffman. They have that thing about them where you just see them, bro, and you're like, that guy's a freaking creep.
Here,
Okay?
Kelly, can you pull up a picture of Doug Emhoff's daughter, Kamala Harris's stepdaughter?
Yeah, why are you looking at
call her Mamala? You know what's interesting? You know what's very interesting is that you bring that up. Well, who were the witnesses for was it Christine Blasey Ford?
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to.
Okay, and who
Dana
was
Carvey in costume.
who was the witness for E. Jean Carroll? But there were none. It was their word against these high-profile political figures, Trump.
Yeah.
You actually have witnesses for the assault that you mentioned at the Cannes Film Festival. 3 people. So when you say you have to believe all women, so we believe those women with no witnesses, but then this woman has 3 witnesses, and they totally discredit that because of the person they're saying it about.
But it's also, you have to measure the proximity of time. Over time, things become less reliable. You have 30-year-old allegations for psychopath Christine Blasey Ford and E. Jean Carroll.
Yeah.
No corroboration, no witnesses. Tara Reid, believe all women? No. You have Lisa Bloom, the Gloria Allred's daughter, at the time saying, we believe you, we all knew this happened to you, Tara Reid, but we've got to go get Trump. This one you've got actual witnesses for.
Yep.
So it's believe all women unless they accuse a Democrat, and we believe the women who make up 30-plus-year-old stories fabricated out of whole cloth with no corroborating evidence because it's politically expedient.
Yeah, and
Vinny, to your point about, like, you can tell what's going on with people when you look at them. This is their daughter, Ella Emhoff, who somehow manages to look like every Seinfeld character shoved into one.
I can see the Constanza coming through.
But
I think it's the glasses.
she is also a huge liberal nut job.
Oh,
I just got the joke. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's good. But like you can tell what's going on with this family.
Yeah, of course.
And yet nobody acknowledges it. It's like they're all nuts.
And not, I know, Connor, I feel your frustration. It's not that I can't acknowledge it. It's like, bro, when guys, the majority, Rob, would you say 95% of mainstream media is left? Let's be honest. 95, 98?
90
guys,
plus.
The reason, Connor, we see it because we're awake, bro. We're seeing this with eyes because we haven't been duped. Bro, it's such a beautiful thing. And I know the majority of you guys out there, how great does it feel that you're not a sheep? You are not a sheep, guys. The wool has been taken off your eyes and you guys see the truth. Okay, like this guy, the reason I did this story is because he seems like he's that guy. I mean, how many stories? And by the way, he is one step away from being in the White House, okay? Just like how Bill Clinton, look at the shit that disgusting guy did in the White House. You want this guy in the White House? I don't want him near the freaking White House because I believe all women, Doug.
You look at the entire situation and you look at Joe Biden's family situation where you have one kid who grows up to be, debilitatedly addicted to crack, a daughter who says she showered with him. You're looking at the new role model for masculinity, bangs a nanny, gets her pregnant. Yep. The wife of this man made her career by sleeping her way up with Willie Brown. I mean, you're dealing with degeneracy at a generational level, and then they come together in a marriage, and then they're touted as moral authorities that should lead a nation. And it's a dirty, sick, offensive joke.
You know, Adam made a great point yesterday on.
Wait, what?
You don't hear that very often.
It's very rare that anyone says that ever.
Sorry to our viewers.
What's your point?
But he actually calculated the amount of children that people that are on the right, between Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, and Donald Trump, and the amount of children that people on the left have, which is Kamala Harris and 2 stepchildren, and that's it. And when you look at that, you go, who's the actual party of family values?
Yeah.
And you can no longer argue that. Just on those stats alone, you can't argue that.
I don't want to say that Adam is wrong, but the Steelman counter to that would be, Elon has had 9 children with different women, so not exactly family values. Trump has been thrice divorced. The bottom line, however,
that is true.
You can't measure people by the success of their children. It's an indication, like when you hit a golf ball, if you hit it well, it'll go straight. But like you look at Trump's kids and how they've developed in life. Don Trump Jr.'s problem is that he's too normal. And like they want to say like Eric Trump is a cokehead. No, all of these you don't call them failings because parents are not necessarily responsible for what their children do in life, but they put that ball in motion through their own behavior as parents. And when you hear what Joe Biden was allegedly like as a young father, and then you see how the children, the problems that they grow up with,
all of them except Bo.
Then
I actually think, hold on, but what you said about that they're not good reflections of, you shouldn't credit the parents for the success of the children, correct? I actually think
you shouldn't fault them for the flaws of their children. I would say more too.
Okay, I think you should fault them less for the success of a marriage than the raising of a child. Would you not agree that a better representation of a person is their offspring rather than the success of their marriage? Because that depends on somebody else as well. Yeah. Whereas with a child, I guess it does depend on the success of the mother as well. I'm sorry. I was just trying to straw man your straw man argument.
But the bottom line is, look, people are going to say, well, how can you get mad at Kamala Harris for cheating or whatever when you give the pass to Donald Trump? The issue on the one hand was that no one ever said that people are going to have their weaknesses and their strengths. It's just applying the same rule to Trump. To themselves that they applied to Trump. Yeah. So they want to go and call Trump all sorts of names because he's divorced twice. People get divorced 50% of marriages, or at least 50% of marriages. They might be more than one person getting divorced twice. Bottom line, I'll apply those rules to them. Kamala Harris is a DEI adulteress. Doug Emhoff is a zhlub of a human adulteress and alleged woman abuser of a much more corroborated incident of violence than E. Jean Carroll and Christine Ford combined. Yeah. And so don't tell me that these people are the moral authorities and that I should look up to this guy and that he's masculinity. He's trash.
Yeah. He's trash. And I want to go back to the wife beating part of the story, all right?
Well, not wife beating, girlfriend.
Alleged.
Domestic assault allegation.
It wasn't domestic. We're outside. It's domestic still. Yeah. Okay, look.
Front hand, back hand.
No, listen to me. Javier Milei, our boy Javier Milei, pointed this out. During an interview, he was like, this makes us superior in every way. You need to be morally superior, economically superior, aesthetically superior than the left. Look, the president of Argentina, allegedly, was beating the first lady. The first lady. He was beating the first lady for years, okay? And the allegations came out. Everyone knew about this. Same deal. And he was the hero of the feminist movement of Argentina.
Yeah, weird.
You know what happens? Because if you're one of them, you can beat your wife black and blue as much as you like. They're going to cover up. They're going to run cover for you. When was the last time a guy on the left got in trouble for beating their wife?
What do you mean?
Because we see the numbers of domestic violence. We see the numbers, and statistically, one of them must be a wife beater.
Of course. What do you mean?
So when was the last time one of those guys got in trouble?
I don't remember.
Did he? I think it's the most recent, and it wasn't, but it was Cassie in that hotel room video.
But
that was covered up for 8 years.
Yeah, and what do you mean? He didn't go to jail. He gave her money, and that was the end of it.
Let me drop this one on you. Did you know that lesbians have the highest rate of domestic violence of any?
Why is that?
Well,
here's the flannel. They fight over flannel.
I guess.
And super.
Well, I think it's arguably a fight over who makes the sandwiches. But
oh my god!
Twice in one show.
Yes, but gay men have the lowest rates of domestic violence.
Yeah, because they just arm wrestle and then go, all right.
Straight couples
more than arm wrestling.
Straight couples have the middle, and then lesbians have the most. So it's like the more women you add to a relationship, the more violent the relationship becomes. I'm terrified for Mormons.
I want to check you on that stat. I'm curious. I never even thought of that. But no, I came up with one guy on the left who got in trouble for domestic abuse, Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom. The punchline there being that he was actually the victim of it. And
he was the victim. And by the way, I think that stat is actually correct if one of you guys want to look it up. But you guys know, this is random. You know who this whole Doug Emhoff, left sticking up for him, making him see this guy, but he's somebody else. Remember Stormy Daniels' creepy porn lawyer, Michael Avenatti? Remember?
Contender for president.
He was going around, and they're like, you are so presidential. On The View, they're like, you should run for the president. Turns out he's a freaking scumbag, and he's in prison for a long time. But it's
14 years.
14 years.
Extortion
for stealing
from Nike.
millions of dollars from his clients. And that was the left's sweetheart.
That's the sweetheart of America. Guys, it's horrible. It's just, but guys, do you put it past the left? This is what they are. You always accuse the other side of who are. And guys, they made him like. And by the way, Doug Emhoff is the man of masculinity. He's wife guy, and he's a feminist.
He's got rage.
Hey, feminist, try going in the street with him and say something to the valet like, "Is this our car?" He's probably gonna slap the shit out of you.
By the way, Connor's wild claim, it checks out.
What is it? Tell me the stat.
UCLA study on it. It's a very long study. I can't read good, but But yeah, 42 studies point that lesbian relationships are the top in domestic violence.
Did they say why? I'm very curious. Well, she's like,
Well,
wait a minute. I told you I was going to wear the mullet this month.
I mean, to bring up the Johnny Depp case, I think a lot of it is because men are subjected to domestic violence by their female partners very often. They just don't report it. Because most of the time, women throw a plate at a guy's head, slap him in the face. It doesn't do much. Like, the guy's not hospitalized, so there's no police report.
My wife. She scares the shit out of me.
Well, I mean, Rob might be a...
Well, she used to do kickboxing, and I'm like, well, I used to do fake karate. So, like, if you give me a board of balsa wood, I could chop it in half.
Well,
but I can't defend against a kickboxer.
Like,
say it like that.
cracker boards.
When you say it like that, it's like, okay, maybe Chihuahuas or Pomeranians bite more often than pit bulls, but pit bulls land more people in the hospital.
Exactly. So you know more about the pit bull attack stats than the Chihuahua attacks. And the reason I bring that up is to say they don't acknowledge that stat publicly because the LGBTQ identity is the left's protected group.
Of course.
So you can't say, oh yeah, lesbians are super violent all the time. You don't.
I would like to see even
they are,
one more.
Yeah, angry because they're going through a lot of stuff. So
one more level in that as an analysis would involve the transgenderism movement, but also just for clarity, Pitbull the dog, not Pitbull the musician.
Yeah,
nobody's
great.
He's actually
no defamation.
Thank you for clarifying. All right, guys, moving on. Next story, Connor, Amber Thurman. I have no idea what this story is about, so please school us.
Yeah. So let's go back to last week at the vice presidential debate. Tim Walz, facing off against J.D. Vance, was asked about Minnesota's very permissive abortion legislation. And he pretty deftly dodged the question and instead made it an issue about the restrictive abortion laws in states like Georgia. Let's take a look at how he answered that question because he told a very interesting story to answer it.
The question got asked when Donald Trump made the accusation that wasn't true about Minnesota. Well, let me tell you about this idea that there's diverse states. There's a young woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia, a restrictive state. Because of that, she had to travel a long distance to North Carolina to try and get her care.
Liar.
Amber Thurman died in that journey back and forth. The fact of the matter is, how can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography? There's a very real chance, had Amber Thurman lived in Minnesota, she would be alive today.
Yeah, so Viva, go ahead.
I hate his face. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say he's got fish mouth. Like he's got the male version of fish mouth, and it makes me want to. I hate
put a hook with a worm in it.
No, oh God, no. Just, I look at the and the way he talks, like he's always like.
He's
sorry,
yeah, I
should
not.
His eyes get wide because he's passionate.
And he lies and he misspeaks because he's a knucklehead. He's a liar. That was a lie.
Sometimes, but as he said, Amber Thurman, she was a 28-year-old resident of Atlanta, Georgia, who died while traveling to North Carolina to receive an abortion because Georgia's heartbeat bill allegedly would not allow her to get the procedure. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
This was not the first time the Harris-Walz campaign has brought up the case of Amber Thurman. She died in 2022. It just recently reemerged as a national story. They have seized on it pretty aggressively in the run-up to the vice presidential debate. Let's look at this tweet from Kamala Harris that she put out a couple weeks ago. A young mother from Georgia should be alive today, raising her son and pursuing her dream of attending nursing school. This is exactly what we feared when Roe v. Wade was struck down. In more than 20 states, Trump abortion bans prevent doctors from providing basic medical care. Women are bleeding out in parking lots, turned away from emergency rooms, losing their ability to ever have children again. Survivors of rape and incest are being told they cannot make decisions about what happens next to their bodies. And now women are dying. These are the consequences of Donald Trump's actions.
May I just pause? Do you remember when they were putting out the lies that people were dying from gunshot wounds because they were ODing on hydroxychloroquine, or the other one? Do you remember, or the one that was in the fish tank? I forget what it was called.
That's HCQ.
Do you, these are the same pathological lies, the same strategies, alarmism, and lies. Sorry.
Exactly.
No, but thank you.
Yeah, Vinny, did you have...
No.
Okay.
That's, he was...
So she has said this dozens of times since then. This was her first tweet on it. She said it when she sat down with Oprah. She mentioned it at a campaign rally. She mentioned it while being interviewed by the National Association of Black Journalists, which is truly unfortunate that they have not desegregated journalism yet. You know, maybe one day we'll make progress there. But her most recent one was during her appearance on the often sexually explicit Call Her Daddy podcast that aired on Sunday. If we can roll that clip as well, Harris went on a long tear about
Next
what
clip.
this
Can we see that? Yeah.
story was about. This is her talking with Alex Cooper on Call Her Daddy.
Names. We have these horrific moments that these people are losing their lives, right? We have a woman named Amber Thurman who died in Georgia because the abortion bans in that state, the doctors were too afraid to treat her. I know that you spoke to her family.
Yeah.
What was that conversation like?
It was heartbreaking, Alex. It was heartbreaking. Her mom and her 2 sisters. And so Amber
She's trying to get the
was a young mother of a 6-year-old son. She was a medical assistant who was so excited because she was just getting on her feet to be independent. She got her own apartment in a gated community with a pool that her son could play in.
Yeah.
Gated community.
She got accepted to nursing school. She was, as described
All
by
right,
her
get
family,
to the point.
so
It's
excited
just
and so
drama
ambitious, and she had
accessing the top.
plans. Then she
now,
found
she's
out
not
she was
lying.
pregnant, and she didn't want to go through with her pregnancy, and she was living in Georgia, and she couldn't receive care there because she was past 6 weeks.
Georgia is a state.
And so she ended up going to another state, and because she was basically she couldn't get there on time. And because the other state had been so overwhelmed by all these women coming from all these southern states who couldn't get treatment
Guarantee that
in their own state, the window for her appointment had closed. So instead of having a surgical procedure, she had medication, and basically went back home and then had some complications and went to the hospital because she was bleeding, and they delayed 20 hours
that sounds like
before they treated her. Because here's the thing that's so messed up about this. Some of these people will say, well, but I do believe in exceptions. I believe that there should be an exception in terms of in the life of the mother. Okay, here, let's talk about this. This gets back to, again, practical application of policy. Okay, so you believe there's an exception that the person should receive abortion care if the life of the mother is at risk. You know what that means in practical terms? She's almost dead before you decide to give her care. What? So we're going to have public health.
I love
Exactly.
it when she shocks herself with her own bullshit. Like,
What?
what? Did I just say that? Because that's absolutely incorrect.
So the reason I played that clip, and I thank you all for staying with me through that one, I know it was a little bit long, is because she actually revealed more of the truth in that story than she has in the past. Most of the time she's told that story, she talks about Amber Thurman went to go to North Carolina because Georgia was too strict, and then in the process she died. And she acknowledged that, no, we'll get into the facts, but she got medication and came back, and here's what happened. But the way this story first broke was from an outlet called ProPublica. We have that article as well. This broke middle of last month, right around the time Harris started talking about it. So basically, this outlet gave the Democrats their new abortion talking point leading into the election season and the debates. They're an independent nonprofit newsroom that, of course, regularly supports and donates to pro-abortion causes. And you can see from the headline, abortion bans have delayed emergency medical care in Georgia. Experts say this mother's death was preventable. And then this was immediately picked up by a bunch of other major news outlets. We have a collage of some of them. Newsweek, New York Times, MSNBC, Associated Press, and others, in addition to the Harris Walls campaign. Can we throw that next graphic up as well, just so you can see these headlines? The drama that they have in there.
This is
Amber
disinformation
Thurman
laundering.
Exactly.
This is how it happens.
One outlet broke the story. Every other one of them
Picks it up.
picks it up and ran with it, with them getting more and more hysterical, because now it's not just preventable. You can see it goes to now it's killing somebody, literally killed a woman, and then AP was talking about how it's all Trump's fault. And they're just saying, Kamala Harris said it's Trump's fault, but. The place to go from there is that ProPublica itself, in its article, acknowledged that what they were saying wasn't true. 57 paragraphs into their article, they reveal some of the facts, and these are facts that have been since exposed. Vinny, I actually texted you during the Unusual Suspect stream for the vice presidential debate. I texted a fact check to you that you read on air, but I want to kind of go into that a little bit. So here are the facts. Amber Nicole Thurman had a 6-year-old child, and she was pregnant with twins, which is already complicated for an abortion procedure because there's twice as many embryos to get rid of. She was 9 weeks pregnant when she decided she didn't want to keep them. Georgia's abortion restrictions mean you can't get the procedure after 6 because that's when fetal heartbeat is detected. It's a heartbeat law. And, you know, in my own experience, just having heard the heartbeat of my unborn child a few weeks ago, once you hear that, anyone who looks at that and says, you know, I want to end that is, I'm not even going to touch that one.
Yeah.
But she was too far along to terminate the pregnancy in Georgia. She drove to North Carolina where it's permitted. She got stuck in traffic. That was one of the key facts Harris has not acknowledged. Is that it wasn't, you know, some complication with trying to make the appointment. She just was late. She went to a clinic, and rather than perform the scheduled surgical abortion that they had planned for her, they gave her the abortion drugs mifepristone and let me see the other one. Mifepristone and mifepristol, which are two.
That is the one that sort of bypassed FDA approval,
Yes.
and that they say is totally safe, and yet it's wildly.
Yep, they say it's as
unsafe.
harmless as Tylenol, despite the fact that it has been linked to multiple deaths of women who take it, particularly once they're more than a few weeks into their pregnancy.
So 9 weeks pregnant, you take this.
Yeah, this is a picture of Amber Thurman.
It obviously
Yeah.
does.
What happens to the?
So what's supposed to happen is that it kills the embryo and then causes your body to expel it, which basically means
You're giving birth.
you basically give birth and then flush the embryo down the toilet.
Dude.
So it's a miscarriage.
Yes,
it's basically a
it
medically
induces a
induced
miscarriage. And
Some would say murder because the thing's heart
Yes.
is beating.
Which are
if I make your heart start beating, I go to jail.
they're traumatic for a woman to go through
Yeah.
if they want to keep the baby. My wife and I, before we had our 5-year-old, she had a miscarriage, and it was something that, as a man, I felt guilty for not understanding what she was going through, and then the fear she had going into our 5-year-old. Yes, because there's that fear that at any point something can happen. So I know how traumatic of a process that is for someone. It wasn't like my wife didn't get an abortion. She had an actual miscarriage in our home. But I know how difficult that can be for a woman who wants to keep the child. I wonder if a woman who doesn't want to keep the child has any emotional connection.
You would hope.
That.
You would hope.
Yeah.
And Rob, like you've made a very important distinction there, and I'll circle back around to that.
And then just really fast, because I don't forget that point. My mom had 3 miscarriages back to back to back, and then had my sister, me, and my brother. So shout out to my mom for not giving up. But anyway, go ahead.
You've made the important distinction between an abortion and an actual miscarriage. There's a key distinction that Democrats will often try to gloss over because it helps them divide the agenda. So back to these drugs. Mifepristone, misoprostol. They are legally obtainable over the counter in several states. CVS recently got approval to start selling them. So these drugs are legally prescribable. The clinic gave them to her. She took 1 dose in the hospital or in the clinic and then insisted on driving home. No follow-up care was given. She wanted to get home before any symptoms started. She left the clinic. They didn't follow up with her. 5 days later, she began vomiting, passed out several times, and was exhibiting symptoms of sepsis. Because what happens is that the drugs are supposed to kill the embryo and then cause it to break down and pass out of the body. In many cases, like Viva said, these drugs are not safe. The fetal tissue is not completely expelled, which means there are rotting body parts stuck inside your body as you're passing it.
Jeez.
She did not expel all the tissue. She was beginning to get sepsis. Her family took her to the hospital after she passed out and had severe torso pain. In the hospital, she was vomiting and turning blue. The doctors waited 20 hours to perform any kind of operation on her. They diagnosed her with sepsis immediately and then sat there for 20 hours. Almost full day. They brought her in. They observed, massive organ infection that had spread out of the uterus into her other body parts. She died on the operating table.
Jeez.
She left behind her son, who was 6 years old at the time, and her grieving family, who were largely kept in the dark about her condition when they brought her in.
This is why when you get into hospitals, you need an advocate who makes sure that you're getting the care that you need. It's you go in there, and if you're voiceless, you will be neglected.
Yeah. No reason for the delay was ever given, and they didn't keep her family appraised. Her family said after, if they had known the severity of her condition or had known what was happening with the procedure to begin with, they would have tried to do something. There was nothing they could do. Under the narrative the Democrats have established about this, they are saying this is entirely the fault of Georgia's abortion restrictions and Donald Trump, who patched the Supreme Court with ridiculous conservative justices that overturned Roe v. Wade. So let's look at Georgia's heartbeat law. Georgia House Bill 481, passed in 2019, was ruled unconstitutional in 2020. That decision was reversed in 2022. Then it was struck down again early last month. Then last week it was reinstated by the Georgia Supreme Court. It says abortion means the act of using, prescribing, or administering any instrument, substance, device, or other means with the purpose to terminate a pregnancy with knowledge that termination will, with reasonable likelihood, cause the death of an unborn child. Provided, however, that any such act shall not be considered an abortion if the act is performed with the purpose of removing a dead unborn child caused by a spontaneous abortion, that's a miscarriage, or removing an ectopic pregnancy. Hold that in your mind as I discuss this. Elsewhere in the bill, it states, no abortion shall be performed if the unborn child has a detectable human heartbeat, except in the event of a medical emergency or medically futile pregnancy. So when the Democrats try to tell you that the reason the doctors waited 20 hours to operate on her is because they were afraid of being imprisoned for performing this operation, it is a complete lie. They are lying to you. They are lying to your face because they think you're too stupid to look it up yourself. I Googled the PDF of this bill in less than 30 seconds. It came up, scrolled to the part where it said that. It has exceptions for ectopic pregnancies, which is when the embryo implants outside of the uterus, which means it's not viable, which means it's going to die. And when it dies, it will harm the mother. Ectopic pregnancies, even in the most restrictive states in the country, are fully permissible because they are not abortions. When there's a miscarriage where the baby dies, but it's too far along for the body to break it down naturally, and there has to be surgical intervention. I know people who've had this happen to them. It's heartbreaking. That's totally allowed because it's not an abortion, because it's a miscarriage, a natural abortion, which means the baby died on its own. Amber Thurman took drugs that killed the twins that were inside her body. They were already dead when she got to Georgia. They were already rotting, as horrific as it is to think about. But
it's a fact.
She had reduced her children to rotting corpses, and whatever reason she had for doing that, it's horrific. There was no risk to the doctors for performing an operation. It's treating it like an infection with needing surgical intervention.
There's two things to this. It's either outright medical malpractice or it's doctors playing politics, and if they get someone to die as a result, all the better, they get the headlines. And it's one of the two. By the accounts of the family, they're suing for medical malpractice. So, they don't even want this narrative to be the one that is being told because it's not in their interest regardless. The bottom line is, had she taken her own life because she couldn't get access to an abortion in whatever state she was in, they would call it Trump abortion ban killing a woman. Had she tried to take her life and failed, and then doctors didn't resuscitate her, they would blame it on Trump.
Had she been in a car accident?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. On the way to North Carolina, her car veers off the road.
Gonna go to Trump.
It's all because of Trump.
People who don't know this, methiprazole is used in a combination with misoprostol to end a pregnancy 70 days or less. Methiprazole is taken first, followed by misoprostol up to 48 hours later. Misoprostol causes contractions that expel the pregnancy tissue after they've effectively killed the fetus. And I went to the Mayo Clinic to look up side effects of methiprazole. You know, it's not on that side effect list. Death.
Weird.
Just like, dizziness, coughing, whatever.
And you look at all the pro-abortion activists, and they will tell you, these drugs should be available in all 50 states. They're safe. They're effective. It's as harmful as taking a Tylenol. It is not. There are dozens and dozens of cases over the last few years of women who take this. Same thing happens. They don't expel the fetal tissue. They get sepsis. They die. The infection causes an organ rupture. They die. It's dangerous to try to go about this way. And whether you want to argue for pro-abortion, anti-abortion, whatever, the chemical abortion induced by these drugs is harmful. But because it's such a politicized topic, nobody's allowed to discuss it. And to try to circle this whole thing around and blame it all on Trump overturning Roe v. Wade, which, again, Trump does not support a federal abortion ban as much as people like me might wish he would. He says it should be decided by the states. That was all that was accomplished with overturning Roe. It was a rightly decided decision. Every state gets to make their own decisions on it now, for better or worse. That's the situation we're living under. The family has been of Amber Thurman has been working with a civil rights and personal injury attorney named Ben Crump. I've mentioned him before on this show in other contexts. I think I've described him as the angrier, balder, dumber version of the Reverend Al Sharpton, but
he gets dumber than that.
Yeah, apparently so. In Ben Crump, he put out a statement on behalf of the family where they were thanking Tim Walz for acknowledging her death on stage and saying, we're committing to this fight, and we condemn Republicans for their barbaric legislation on abortion. But then just yesterday, they filed a lawsuit against the hospital in which Crump stated, and I quote, "Even under Georgia law, the doctors had a duty to act to save Amber. She had taken the abortion pills and there were tissue left. There were no viable fetus or anything that would have prevented them from saving her life while she suffered. Quote, you have a duty to stabilize her and then give her the option to go to another hospital facility, but you cannot let her suffer and die on your hospital bed when the death is preventable." So yes, Amber Thurman's death was preventable. Medical professionals could have told her, hey, the life inside your body is sacred, don't kill it. They could have told her, hey, these drugs you're taking are dangerous and harmful and have severe side effects that could kill you. Find another way. The doctors in Georgia could have said, hey, there's no risk to us under this law because your children are already dead. We're going to operate now and save your life. From the top down, it is medical malpractice, incompetence, and naked politicizing of the death of a young woman who has now left a child without a parent. And that's the true tragedy. But the attempt to throw it all out and say, oh, it's Trump's fault, it's Republicans' fault, blame the pro-lifers, they're the ones who caused this, that lets the true evil of the abortion industry escape without scrutiny. And it's high time that ended, I think.
All right. Dude, I mean, thanks for putting it out that they are all full of crap. Every single thing that Kamala and all the walls and all the... So everything that... By the way, I didn't know all that stuff in detail. Now that you said it and now that I hear them talking, not as if I thought that they would ever tell the truth, but I appreciate the hell you kind of freaking great story. All right. Humberto, Waffle House. And by the way, Kelly, shout out to Kelly. Can we please show this graphic? Look at what Kelly did. Please tell us know what the hell's going on. Who was it?
That looks like AI generated.
Hey, watch your mouth. Whoever had to put the freaking the command in there.
Do you know how hard it is to get that to spell something correctly? Waffle House is spelled right.
All right.
2 times.
I'm the prompt king. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you, Connor. Wait to put me off my breakfast with the Waffle House story. Yeah. So, things are getting crazy here in Florida. We're talking before the show that whatever hurricane comes along, Sharknadoes and
I'm watching videos right. I just saw a video and it's
flying alligator, like not living communism is just way worth it.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of a meme, and it's been a meme around the internet for a little bit now.
Okay.
Waffle House never closes.
Ever. It's 24/7.
24/7, 365, including leap days. Don't worry about it.
There's syrup on the walls.
There's a Waffle House open. To the point that they started talking about the Waffle House Index. And I was watching because this is like the Super Bowl for weathermen. Like usually their life is very uneventful. It's gonna be sunny. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
But I was watching the news and they were moving sand towards the beach. So once they have to bring sand to the beach,
it's never good.
It's never good.
Never good.
If you have to bring your own sand to the beach, you better be worried. So if we go if we go to the first picture, the Waffle House posted a tweet. This is why I'm worried. Okay, they announced they're gonna close 20+ locations on this storm. So this is gonna be bad.
Close because They don't close for any circumstance.
Any circumstance.
Earthquake. We're open.
We're gonna get into it because they have a rating to it.
I think I said this in our Unusual Suspects chat last night when Humberto sent this story, but seeing a Waffle House close ahead of a storm is like seeing an ibis running for a storm shelter. You know, the ibis is notoriously the last animal to take shelter before a storm.
It stays out.
If you see one sprinting towards the shelter,
it's
like
time.
You know it's about to go down.
Damn it, we're screwed.
It is about to go down, and we can see the index right here, right after this. If you can bring it up, that's it. All right. So green means they have a full menu. All right. Restaurant has power and damage is minimal or absent. Okay, it's all good.
It's good.
Thursday night with the boys, you just go there. You might get stabbed inside, but you know
whatever. At least the chicken's fresh.
The chicken is fresh and the waffles are hot.
Yeah.
Then you go down to yellow. That's limited menu. All right. So power is either absent or delivered by generator.
I love it. It's still open if power's absent. We'll serve you what we can make without cooking it.
Whatever we have left in the fryer, you're gonna get.
We ain't been able to refrigerate these eggs for 2 days, but we'll fry them up for you.
Yeah, y'all taking these eggs.
And then this is really funny, and they changed it recently. Like red is that the restaurant is closed, and when they announced the closure of the restaurant, they close it like after the shift is done.
Oh, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So they know they're gonna close, but it indicates severe damage, severe flooding, and severe destruction of the restaurant. All right. So they're gonna ride those fryers until the restaurant is not even there anymore. And I had to bring some pictures so you guys know what I mean when it's a code red.
All right.
Kelly, if we can see this too.
Wait, so are they still serving chicken in that?
Yeah.
Holy crap! I would do it.
This is the moment when they close a Waffle House. Right?
That's a car that seems
That's
to
a
have
car
driven
that
through the
flew
front.
in.
Yeah,
you know,
the picture on the right, that's supposed to be inside of a restaurant. Like that's the counter. Those are the stools right there.
Oh my God.
Great
The restaurant
stools.
is gone off the top of it.
Great stool.
That's not funny.
How insane is this? So, if we go to the next slide, I think this is a map they released around last night. They released a map of the restaurant they will close. All right,
red is closed. Okay,
red is closed.
Wow,
and
that means it's bad.
Yeah,
Jeez Louise.
this is the Tampa area.
They're still green. And by the way, Jake, right next to the red ones. You know what that means? Like, hey, listen, we don't give a damn.
And it's funny because I didn't put the full tweet so we can get a picture of you can see how the storm will move.
Storm's coming, yeah.
And the disclosure on the bottom, it was like oh, be safe. They had all the legal stuff, and they were like, this information might change, so check your local restaurant. So they might be still open.
Yeah.
And I was like, these people. I mean, FEMA is not even that good at doing this thing.
That's
all right.
Private enterprise will always be better than government.
But
I've eaten it at a Waffle House in Virginia or West Virginia after an episode of Tim Pool.
Amazing.
It's damn good. I mean,
it
it's
is
flipping
great. We
good.
should go after.
Humberto, you talked a couple weeks ago about the DC Pizza Index, where when it's like all the government officials are working late nights in their office because of a foreign policy crisis, they start ordering pizza. So all the DC pizza places are have longer wait times. So you can track how close we are to a crisis by how long you got to wait to order a pizza in the Capitol. This is the same thing. But private enterprise is better.
They've got if Waffle House has got to put out like a video of like people trying to get the eggs into their mouth and the wind's blowing, like we're still open. There's an ad campaign in there.
There is an ad campaign, and I was like, how do these people do it? Vinny, they have a war room. Like, come on, you're making waffles. Come on, chill it. Like relax. Waffle people.
Like they have an index, and it's like, bro, hold on. You got to give credit to where credit due. This company doesn't F around. They're like, bro, we don't give a shit. Imagine the cooks and the servers that have to go even though it's a tornado.
Vinny, I'm going to go into the measures they have. Like, I want to show you this video here to see how far they will go.
Inside the Waffle House war room ahead of the storm. Oh, God, we got to, what is this?
This is them describing what they do. Like, I mean, this is just the weather section of
okay, let's hear it. Let's see it.
Is severe weather like Hurricane Idalia.
And it'll continue on up into Georgia and over to Jessup and Hinesville.
At Waffle House headquarters in Norcross, a team of leaders is tracking the storm.
Normally this is the boardroom.
But tonight, it's a war room where they're forming teams to send to Florida and coastal Georgia.
Everything we do in this crisis is about people, power, and food.
Will Mazzell, vice president of marketing, says safety comes first. If a store is in the direct path of a hurricane,
oh my God! Look at
inside the war room.
Dude,
they have
FEMA doesn't do that.
FEMA doesn't do that.
FEMA doesn't do that. They're like, well, we're out of money. Good luck. And save yourself. yourself.
able
Not gonna
to,
lie, there's a lot more white
mark
people
these
on
on the
the
maps
board.
for the people
Hey,
out.
Yeah,
come
very
on.
good observation.
Come
That's
on.
freaking
Come
racist,
on.
bro.
Closed,
That's
or if
horrible.
They don't have power, if they don't have water.
What I thought
Once
was
the storm
amazing
blows through,
on the
Giselle
one hand
says
is
it's
you
the
could
company's
rely on
goal to reopen his career.
Waffle House to feed people in need better than
All
FEMA
right.
and for voting. Put
Listen-
voting
listen
booths
to
at a
me.
Waffle
Listen
House.
to me. FEMA relies on Waffle House. Like the Waffle House Index was coined by geez, I had the name there. He was the head of FEMA during the Obama era. Oh, where is his name? Well, I don't know. Craig Fugate
Fugate?
Sorry,
Fugate
what's his name?
is Craig Fugate.
Fugate.
Forgot.
Fugate. Well, but
Fugate.
he actually coined it.
Fuck it.
Craig
Fuck it. Craig, fuck it. I work at
The
fucking
restaurant,
Waffle
yeah.
House.
I work at
Sorry
Waffle
for-
House. So I started going down the rabbit hole because like keeping a restaurant open is a big deal. Of
course.
So these people have a bunch of things. They have their war room. They track the weather. They have jump teams. All right.
Jump team?
A jump team is a team that they gather that they will go fix the restaurant. Like because it's not only staying open, it's fixing the restaurant to open it as quick as possible.
Damn, bro.
They will go to their employees' houses so they can weatherproof the house or they can assist them and their family in any way possible so they can go to work and not worry about their family and the loved ones.
Dude.
All right? To keep the grill cooking because I think it was the VP of public relationship. She said she has two objectives: keep the restaurant open and keep people earning money. Because if you close the restaurant and you're not getting your tips, you're losing money, and nobody's gonna pay you that money back. And
I'm sorry, I was credibly told that Kamala Harris is giving $750 if you can get
imagine
approved.
this
But
guy.
your house has to get demolished.
Yeah,
In
your
order
house
for you
has to get
that.
Their Waffle House has to get demolished.
And then I don't know. Most of you heard about these things, the memes and whatever. And I just went deeper into a rabbit hole. These people at Waffle House, they developed their own language. All right, I'm not kidding right now. I don't know if it's their hiring practices, but they don't use written English to put it in orders. They have a very complex plate marking language that they teach employees so they don't have to use verbal or written communication with them.
I'm starving for
It's
Waffle
called
House.
the Waffle Code. Everybody knows that.
You know this?
No, I'm joking. Is that what it's called?
All right. So, for example, let's say
Is it
just
because
guessing.
there might be a literacy problem among Waffle House employees and customers?
I didn't say that. I didn't say
No,
that.
but it's still language. But it's like Morse code, Da Vinci Code, Waffle
So
Code.
wait, so this is now what are we about to watch?
Like we're about to watch. I actually went into the training videos. All right.
Where the hell are you getting all this
Holy
crap?
Oh, dude, I did a Rob like
You did
3
a
in the
Rob
morning,
dive?
but about non-important things like Waffle House. And this is a bit that I cut from
This is very important, by the
Yeah.
way. Don't chalk it up to not important.
from one of their training videos. He's gonna explain the marking system they use to put in orders.
Okay.
As the salesperson calls in the order, it is your job to begin placing markers on the plates using the special code that Waffle House has designed to help you remember exactly how everything is to be prepared. We call the system magic because our customers often do not notice the markers on the plates and think you have memorized all of the orders that were being called in.
This is magic.
In reality, you're just using our code to mark the orders so that you can read the plates and get orders prepared quickly and accurately every time.
All right. Okay, we'll watch another one.
Yeah, watch another one.
What I'm visualizing is I'm visualizing Rob going down the Reed. What was his name?
Reed Hoffman.
Rabbit hole at 3 in the morning. Like you have two different rabbit holes right
Yeah.
here.
This one has syrup all over it.
So did Reed's. But
I brought this one.
That's a different sticky icky.
I'm going to hell. I'm sorry.
Because this is stakes. It's the most difficult code. So just play the.
Go ahead.
Our steak meals require a little extra work when marking because we will show how well the customer wants their steak cooked by where we place the marker on the plate. T-bone dinner medium, for instance, is marked with the right side up buttercup in the middle of the plate and a few shreds of hash browns.
What the hell?
How well the steak is cooked increases the further up the plate you go.
What?
So the bottom of the plate is rare,
Medium.
then up to medium rare,
Kelly, or
Medium?
if it moves.
What if the wind blows
Yeah.
it?
and finally,
Also, who
well
goes to
done.
Waffle House and orders a steak?
Dude, I didn't
You
know
don't
they
have to
serve
worry
steak.
about
I'm
Can I
going
get, can I get
tonight.
T-bone at this here Waffle House?
Pork chop,
Steak and egg.
and country ham, as these are always cooked well done.
Guys,
Major
I would
meats and
burn the
eggs
shit
are
out
marked
of
the
every
same
single day.
as the corresponding dinner,
Hey,
except
I
you
want
must remember to mark the egg.
We're out of
and
mustard.
We're out of butter. Listen, the butter, little ramekin, they're all gone. Could you please just go in the kitchen and tell them exactly what the hell you
I've never in my life heard the word buttercup actually used in
And a
context
cup.
for
That's a
appropriate
buttercup.
things. Like, oh, right.
So I don't want to stretch here, but Waffle House is a secret climate cult.
Oh my goodness. Dude, but you know what? By the way, I'm going to support them even more. I haven't been to one in a while, but I'm going to go in there just because the level of like dedication and like, bro, and you know what? Is there one close that if I want to be there when it's flooded?
Let's do it. Thursday night Waffle House.
I'm down.
Thursday night
I'm down. We'll record it and we'll put a clip the next time that we have our show.
Assuming there's any Waffle Houses left standing.
Yeah, well, I mean, dude, the way that they built them.
So, yeah, that's that.
Dude, I just love that. We went from
Epstein's Island
Epstein's
to Waffle
Island
House.
to abortions to Waffle House is going to stay and they're going to cook and they don't give a damn if the place falls down on the cooks or you. They're going to give you your damn waffles and chicken.
Yeah, no, and if it comes overcooked, the excuse is going to be the hurricane winds blew the buttercup a little bit higher up on the scale. We thought it was
sorry,
well
just
done.
eat the damn thing. But hey, Umberto, great story. All right, last one. Viva. We skipped you last week, but this week you're going to talk about Tina Peters and how Colorado, she's a clerk. She got sentenced to 9 years.
Well, it's even better that we skipped it last week because I've had more time to now look into it even further. I watched a documentary called "The Selection Code," which is Tina Peters' story coming out of Colorado as a result of the 2020 election.
Where's it on YouTube?
It is on Rumble.
Rumble.
If you put in "Selection Code," you'll get it, and it's a very compelling documentary. Tina Peters. It's a story, like it's made it under the radar for a long period of time. I've been following it, but I didn't watch the trial daily. She was an elected Colorado clerk whose, her role was to supervise elections. She had some legal obligations. And this had actually less to do with 2020 election, but 2021, Dominion was updating the software with what, I forget the term that they were using now, to update the software systems. And when you update software systems, it could result in loss of data, et cetera, much like when, with the FBI updates their cellular connections after January 6th, it deletes very important text messages between feds. So they were going to upgrade the system. Lost, as we need your phones. Upgrade January 7th. Oh, we lost everything. She was, not tasked with, but they were going to update the systems. Dominion was coming in to do this upgrade. She was tasked by law with not allowing the deletion of election materials for, I think it's a period of 25 months.
Okay.
So she says, all right, well, if they're going to upgrade the system and there's a risk of loss of data, whatever, we got to back it up or take a mirror image like what they did with Hunter Biden's laptop. And basically was getting stonewalled by, you guys remember Jenna Griswold, Psychopath McGee,
Of course.
Secretary of State, getting stonewalled in terms of the ability to actually back up the Dominion, all the data, the election data, before they come in and do this upgrade. So she takes it on her own to mandate someone to do this upgrade. It's a technological thing, so she has to get an expert. Turns out that the expert she gets happens to be an FBI confidential informant. Don't ask any questions there because that never comes out at trial.
No, of course not.
She gets charged with, okay, if we can bring this up just so we can see the charges. This is an outdated indictment because there were two defendants and ultimately only Tina went to trial. But the charges.
How do we know about that informant?
Oh, because, that came out, but he wasn't allowed to testify at the trial from what I understood.
Wow.
But the charges are things like attempt to influence a public servant, and she gets charged with this 3 times because I guess she unlawfully tried to influence public servants on three separate occasions to gain access so that she could make this mirror image of the Dominion system.
She's doing what she thinks is right to save the integrity of the election.
She's doing what she thinks she's lawfully required to do, which is to preserve data for a period of 25 months.
Is she some deranged MAGA supporter in this position?
Well, it depends on who you ask, but the bottom line is she's a 69-year-old Gold Star mom. Her son died in a military it was not an operation, it was a display, like they were parachuting for an event, and his parachute didn't open, he died. Military Gold Star mom. No criminal record, 69 years old.
So a woman who should be given benefit of the doubt because she's not a psychotic.
She's a woman who was elected to her position, a model citizen, but falls out of political favor because of what she does. She goes in and mandates this guy to, it's surreptitiously or whatever, but it's either she's abiding by the law and preserving the data, or she's abiding by the law and not mirroring the data, and now she's getting prosecuted for having violated the law as relates to influencing a public servant, conspiracy to commit identity theft. So she has the trial. It's another one of these rigged kangaroo court show trials where you have an activist judge who, oddly enough, is a spitting image of Jack Smith, an activist judge who does everything he can to rig this trial against Tina Peters, excluding defenses, excluding witnesses. She gets convicted by a jury of her, quote, peers in the politically prejudiced jurisdiction of Colorado. And then the judge sentences her to 9 years in jail. Now, do we have the video of the judge's tirade? It's an amazing thing. It's psychotic. I was watching. This is just only the first minute and 2 seconds. This is the judge who basically fixed the trial in as much as you can, setting it to a jury, rigged it so that she would get convicted, and he sentences her. So the jury,
this guy's, I'm pretty sure he's a Democrat.
There will be no. He's unhinged.
Okay.
So when I first saw this video, I'm listening to this like, oh, the prosecutor's talking because nobody talks like that. It's sort of like a potato quality video, so you don't even know that the judge is talking.
Oh, but it's the judge.
It's the judge. Listen to this, and then we're going to break it down. Okay. Dramatic pause as he gets going here. Sigh.
You have no qualms with violating the court's orders because you're innocent, because you didn't do anything wrong. You were just doing your job.
Which, is relevant for men's.
You have no problem trying to kick an officer. Your explanation about what happened is preposterous. It's on video. You have no problem lying to officers. It's happened multiple times. They're recorded conversations. It's just more lies. No objective person believes them.
Get back to that.
No, at the end of the day, you cared about the jets, the podcasts, and the people fawning over you. You abdicated your position as a servant to the Constitution, and you chose you over all else. Yes, you are a charlatan.
You're a charlatan.
And you cannot help but lie as easy it is for you to breathe. You betrayed your oath for no one other than you.
Yeah, we could pause it there.
Could Trump pardon her?
No, it's a state-level conviction, so he can't. And don't rely on Paulus as the governor of Colorado.
Forget it. They're all hated.
They know. But so you have this guy. There was at one point in his diatribe where he basically refers to her words being worse than violence. He says, what you've done is worse than some of the violence that this court sees on a regular basis.
Yeah, tell somebody that's a victim of violence.
Well, no, but so I put out it's a sick joke afterwards. The average convicted rapist sentence out of Colorado is less than 9 years.
I was say 5.
And
kidding.
This guy comes out and she gets convicted on 3 counts of influencing a public servant, which you read what that means under the law. I won't even do it now. It's incomprehensible to anybody, let alone standard non-legalese trained people. She gets convicted thrice. The judge has the discretion to run sentences concurrently or consecutively at the same time or one after the other. He runs these convictions one after the other in 2 cases. 3 years plus another 3 years to be run consecutively. At the end, he's like, after he's diatribing conviction and sentencing, which is worse than rapists, convicted rapists, he says, did I forget anything? And the prosecutor says, oh yeah, you forgot one conviction on conspiracy to commit identity theft. Yep, another 15 months consecutive. 9 years for this woman who's 69 years old, non-violent conviction, first-time offender, gold star mom, and what she's accused of having done was back up the data, the software of the Dominion voting system. And apparently what has been confirmed by multiple people, not by myself firsthand, is that Dominion did in fact delete or lose information in their update.
Oh,
and so she
knew it was going to happen.
She knew it was going to happen, or it happened, bottom line. And her defense, and it's not even a defense, it's, we live in an era where we have so many laws. It was some Greek philosopher said, Cicerus, what's his name?
Cicero?
No, Tilius. I think it might be, whatever. It's one of the Greek philosophers that says more justice, more laws, less justice. And Elon Musk was talking about this with Tucker Carlson. You actually have conflicting legislation. One is anti-discrimination federal legislation, and then the other one is you can't hire people who are not vetted for certain military contracts. And so Elon's saying, I will be convicted one way or the other. If I don't hire migrants to this protected project, I'm going to be sued for discrimination. If I do hire them, I'll be sued for violating proper backing. We're at a state level here, but bottom line, Tina Peters believed, rightly or wrongly, that she needed to back up the information to protect it from unlawful deletion within the certain 25-month period. She did it because the state refused to do it, and then they prosecute her for it. There was a detail that the information was uploaded to the internet, and for crowdsourcing the information in terms of everyone looking into it, that whether or not Tina's guilty of that or responsible for that, separate issue. The bottom line, the sentence is a politically charged outrageous injustice. That diatribe by the judge should be put on the utmost of blasts, because what this is political vengeance and a warning to everybody. Show up to protest, we will lock your ass in jail.
20 years.
20 years. You challenge elections, we will lock your ass in jail. Unless we lose, of course, and then we're going to challenge them ourselves.
Of course.
So my mission of the last 2 weeks since the conviction and the sentencing has been to put that outrageous verdict on blast and to tell the story, because I think what the judge did was so over the top that any reasonable court of appeal, even in Colorado, is going to have to say, we got to tamp this down so that it doesn't look like we're locking up grannies for nonviolent crimes for longer than convicted rapists.
How long?
Which they are.
Which they did.
Yeah.
They did.
So, Dave, how long does she have to do the appeal?
The appeal, I mean, they're going to do it. It's a no choice in this.
You have to.
But there's when that judge was giving his diatribe, it almost felt to me like he thought he was going to get praise and adulation from the general public. Yeah. And when that video went viral, luckily, I think there has to be social, political, court of public opinion backlash, because this is not justice. This is literally what they accuse Russia of being, North Korea of being. It's like Otto Warmbier was sentenced to 13 years hard labor after a 1-hour trial. That's ridiculous. This woman sentenced to 9 years for influencing a public servant. For doing her job in her own mind. Mens rea in criminal law is a relevant thing. It's actus reus, having committed the illegal act, and mens rea, having had the intention to commit the illegal act. She thought that she was doing what she needed to do under the law, not in violation of the law.
What? Kind of
And they would accuse you of trying to incite violence against this judge for putting his face and his words out there. Of this guy who went on this whole dramatic monologue condemning this woman. When you say there needs to be court of public opinion backlash, they'll try to spin you into a domestic terrorist for that. Basically what you're saying is, if you see him at a gasoline station, at a restaurant, you get out and you create a crowd and you push back on him and let him know he's not welcome anywhere anymore.
I am no Maxine Waters.
It's only okay when a black Democrat does it. I see. But like you said, the fact that rapists in Colorado are not getting 9 years, and this woman in her 60s who's a first-time offender who did not have intent to commit an illegal action is getting punished like this. Insane.
It's insane, and what's insane, particularly about the diatribe. First of all, everybody who ever knows me, it's like it's not even avoid violence as a matter of principle, yes, but also as a matter of strategy, because harassing works if you're a Democrat and you have that political permission slip. It doesn't work if you're on the right, and so don't do it, because A, it'll land you in jail for the rest of your life, and B, it'll reflect poorly on the movement as a whole. But when he comes out and says you're a charlatan, and I had to Google the word, it means someone who thinks that they know something on a subject of which they know nothing. It's illustrating this judge came in.
I'm a charlatan. Sorry, I just realized.
Rob is such a charlatan.
As soon as you said that, I'm like, oh, that pretty much identifies me.
We hear the good. That's actually the good Charlotte, not the good charlatans. But whatever. The bottom line, that diatribe illustrates such a preconceived illustration of guilt. This guy wanted her to be guilty from the get-go.
Yeah.
He came in with her guilt in his mind, but he couldn't find it, so he had to rig this trial.
Well, think about the implications of what he said also, because what was it? Something to the effect of, no objective person would think you're innocent? Or
no objective person would believe your lies about the election.
I don't know. You're pretty unattached from this, and I would consider you an objective person looking at it. But the judge's condemnation is against you. It's against
the judge.
It's
biased.
Against all of us.
No, it's even worse. The judge's condemnation is an affirmation of the legitimacy of the 2020 election at large, which Do I believe that there was vote flipping and servers in Germany and the ghost of Hugo Chavez? No. Do I believe that it was not on the level? 1,000%. And I think we have sufficient evidence to know that right now.
Exactly.
It's like his diatribe is an affirmation of the legitimacy of the 2020 election.
Yeah, we're still waiting on Sidney Powell to unleash the Kraken in Georgia like she was supposed to. But it really goes to show, why did Tucker get fired from Fox? Because he caused too many problems with Dominion. He made allegations about them. They sued Fox. That whole thing had to get settled, and they fired him over it. She crossed Dominion by backing up this data. And the fact that this happened right before the 2024 election, I think is extremely significant. Like you said, it is a warning. If you protest, if you investigate the election, if you raise questions, if you dare to suggest that our voting software might not be completely on the up and up, you get to go to prison for 9 years.
Yeah, who was the guy that Pat had on the show that showed how you can
Harry
hack
Hursty.
You could hack into any any system, computer can be hacked. And besides, guys, and people are like,
it took him 10 minutes.
Well, but they just had their whatever the Village Con thing in Vegas where they hacked the system.
We had that
just
guy
over the summer.
We had him.
We had that guy on PBD podcast about
DEF CON,
3 weeks ago.
I know, and the conclusion was yes, there are vulnerabilities, and yes, we don't even have enough time to fix those vulnerabilities before the 2024 election. But the bottom line, so no one thinks I'm a crazy election denier. 2020 was rigged in the exact way Time Magazine described it, except they called it election fortification, and I call it election fornification. When you change the rules, the ballot harvesting, the indefinite confinement, the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story, that is an illegitimate, altered with election. Whether or not it was Dominion per se, we have known of problems with electronic voting forever. Even the Dems were reporting on it up to 2019. And Tina Peters crossed the line. And whether or not she did anything wrong, this is the other thing. She could be guilty of what you think she did. 9 years is not. The judge said, "Why I can't give you probation? I can't give you probation because you haven't licked the boot of Big Brother and said I love Big Brother."
Wow. And that's 9 years. Dude, she might not make it. She's almost 70 years old.
There has to be an intervention from the Court of Appeal, if only on the sentencing. But the verdict itself should be overturned as well, or vacated because there was serious chicanery in that trial.
Yep. All right. Well, go ahead. Say something.
No, earlier, before we were talking about you fled Canada from what?
From communism.
Communism. And then you moved to the United States, and it sounds like...
And they're trying.
Well,
communism is... Maybe you're the commie.
No, but
you're bringing it with you from Canada.
We get accused of bringing the bad weather, but no, the reality is when I was covering the trucker protests, and I'm talking to people who fled communism, and I say, like, are you going to go back home after this? And they say, I said, if Canada falls, you go back home. And it's like, if Canada, where the hell do we go? We're not going back to these places.
Yeah.
And if Canada falls, and if America falls, there's nowhere left to go.
Yeah.
Canada may have fallen, or it may be beyond the event horizon of communism. If it comes to America, there will be nowhere else to go.
Well, that's what happens when you have the bastard son of Hugo Chavez or of Fidel Castro running your country.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that, I'm convinced.
Well, he looks more like Fidel Castro than Pierre Elliott Trudeau. If anyone's never seen those images,
great pronunciation. The fact that you gave him the Trudeau,
Pierre Elliott Trudeau.
I wouldn't give him. I call him Trudeau. Anyway, guys, what's up, Alberto? Oh yeah, guys, great stories, great episode to everybody at home. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please take 1 second, just hit the subscribe button. It's right there. Thank you so much to everybody, all the stories, Kelly, Jake, everybody in the back, Jeremy, and Ruby, our new production manager. She's in the casa. Oh, guys, and just really quick, guys. Oh, yeah, and there's a QR code for the Angry Patriot. And, guys, we shot a sketch, all right? Donald Trump's Secret Service training has been revealed for the females. It's freaking great. We're doing.
Don't move.
Don't go anywhere.
It's just gonna premiere right after this.
It's gonna just let it play. It's gonna come on after this. We appreciate you guys. If you can, drop a comment on it. We shot it back here. Look at Kelly. I can't wait for them to see this.
I got a sneak peek of this.
Look at Kelly. Yes, that's blood on my ear. That's Daniel. That's an iconic photo. We don't try to show off. That's a Secret Service guy in my back. That's a teleprompter. But yeah, guys, stick around. And hey, everybody in Florida that's watching, if you're in I know Kelly's family, everybody's all involved with the second hurricane. May God bless all you guys. Please stay safe. We're going to pray for all of you guys and pray for us as well, because who knows what's going to happen here. Hopefully we're here on Friday. And until then, God bless you guys. Take care of each other. We'll see you guys later. Peace.